Chicago Fire Season 13 finale saves Kid and Severide's flailing story, with just one show-changing twist. Stella Kid and Kelly Severide have overcome many obstacles throughout Chicago Fire, but their issue in Season 13 was failing miserably. That is, until the finale. The fan-favorite Firehouse 51 romance is undoubtedly the show's most stable couple. Of course, it's Chicago Fire, so Kid and Severide have still encountered numerous missteps in their relationship. They managed to make it to Season 13 happily married, though. In the latest season, Kid and Severide decided to take a big step, which was exciting at first, but it quickly turned dull. Thankfully, the finale saves this story from being a complete dud. In the Chicago Fire Season 13 finale, Severide races against the clock to prove Chief Pascal's innocence in an attempted murder case. Meanwhile, Kid works to reunite Natalie, a teenager whom the firefighter saved many years ago, with her sister. Both halves of Severide are successful in their independent ventures. By the episode's end, they come home to celebrate their achievements, and in a surprising turn of events, Kid tells her husband something that changes the couple's world. Since the 2025 Chicago crossover, Kid and Severide have been trying to expand their family. They chose to go down the adoption route at first, and they even came quite close to adopting a newborn. Unfortunately, the birth mother changed her mind at the last minute, leaving Kid and Severide walking out of the hospital babyless and heartbroken. Then Chicago Fire Season 13 seemed like it was laying the groundwork for Kid and Severide to adopt Natalie, but the finale dismisses that theory. Instead, Natalie reunites with her sister, and Kid learns she's pregnant. The very last scene of Chicago Fire Season 13 features Kid showing Severide a positive pregnancy test. Severide hugs, kisses, and cries as they bask in their newfound happiness, and the screen fades to black. This pregnancy news comes out of left field, as it appeared as if the couple's parenting journey would always end in adoption. Nevertheless, Kid and Severide are having a baby, which is a wonderful update to the two characters' parenting arc in the NBC procedural drama. Time and time again, Chicago Fire, well, even the entire One Chicago universe, has introduced different variants of the adoption storyline. They all still manage to look the same. As a result, adoption arcs have become repetitive and boring, which is why Kid and Severide's Season 13 plot has been so disappointing. The good news is that the Season 13 finale nips the couple's adoption storyline in the bud. Kid being pregnant offers something fresh to the first One Chicago show. Consequently, Season 14 is all the more exciting, and it needs excitement after the announcement that Carver and Ritter are leaving Chicago Fire after Season 13. Now, Severide fans have something actually worthwhile to look forward to when Season 14 premieres. The circumstances surrounding Kid's pregnancy are also quite intriguing when thinking about what they mean for her and Severide's story in Chicago Fire Season 14. After all, there's only so much that Kid can do as a firefighter while pregnant. Meanwhile, Severide doesn't have to worry about that. During an interview with TV Line, showrunner Andrea Newman teased how the differing gender roles would come into play for the couple. Newman said, "Based on Newman's comments, Kid and Severide's reinvigorated baby storyline will come with many challenges in Chicago Fire Season 14. Kid is Truck 81's leader. She likely won't be okay with being relegated to desk duty due to her pregnancy. Ultimately, fans must wait until Chicago Fire Season 14 to see how Kid and Severide's pregnancy arc unfolds." For most of Chicago Fire Season 13, the once electrifying relationship between Stella Kid and Kelly Severide had grown quiet, too quiet. Fans, once captivated by their passionate dynamic and joint leadership at Firehouse 51, had begun to wonder. Had Severide lost its spark? Episodes teased tension and distance, with Severide still emotionally distant after his long absences, and Kid visibly struggling to balance her role as a lieutenant with her marriage. The finale, however, pulled off a miraculous rescue, not just of their storyline, but of their future, thanks to a single, game-changing twist that nobody saw coming. It wasn't a dramatic fire or an explosion that reignited their flame. It wasn't even a near-death experience, though this is Chicago Fire, so rest assured there was plenty of peril. Instead, it was an emotional gut punch wrapped in a mystery, solved not by heroics, but by vulnerability. The twist, a baby, but not their baby. The episode kicks off with Firehouse 51 responding to a harrowing call, a 3-alarm fire at an old apartment building. As the team works through the chaos, Severide discovers a frightened little girl, no older than 4, hiding beneath a pile of debris. She's mute, traumatized, and clutching a necklace that looks eerily familiar. Severide rescues her and brings her to safety. But something about the way she clings to him, like she knows him, shakes him to his core. The child, eventually identified as Leela, has no parents stepping forward to claim her. Kid, watching Severide interact with her over the next few days, sees a side of him she's only glimpsed in brief moments. He's gentle, patient, even protective. And when Leela finally speaks her first words in the hospital, Kelly, Dada, both Severide and Kid are floored. At first, it's impossible. Severide swears he's never met Leela's mother, or so he thinks. But a visit from a woman named Rachel, who knew Severide from his brief time training recruits out of state, reveals the twist. She died in the fire. And yes, she had always said Leela's father was a firefighter named Kelly. It's a bombshell revelation that casts a shadow over everything. Kid's moment of truth. Kid's reaction is far from what viewers expected. Instead of anger or jealousy, she goes quiet, reflective. She realizes that they spent so long avoiding real conversations about life, family, even the emotional distance that's crept into their marriage, that this moment, though painful, might actually be a second chance. She tells Severide, "We've danced around too much. Maybe this little girl is the universe forcing us to stop avoiding the hard stuff." The emotional core of the finale hinges not on the question of whether Leela is Severide's daughter. It's ultimately revealed she isn't. But on the journey, the question forces him and Kid to take. In exploring what kind of people they want to be, what kind of legacy they want to leave behind, and whether they're truly building a life together, they're forced to confront the truth. Love isn't just about surviving fires. It's about weathering emotional storms too. A reunion worth the wait. The finale crescendos with Kid and Severide sitting on their porch steps after Leela is placed with her aunt. For the first time in a long time, they're honest. Severide admits he's been scared, not of fire, not of danger, but of failing Kid, of being unreliable, of not knowing how to build a family. Kid, eyes brimming with tears, tells him the truth that sets the tone for season 14. We don't have to be perfect. We just have to show up. Every day. That final line, delivered with quiet strength, lands harder than any explosion could. It signals the rebirth of Severide, not through a dramatic rescue, but through emotional maturity and mutual vulnerability. And for a show like Chicago Fire, which thrives on the heat of both literal and metaphorical flames, it's the kind of storytelling that sets the series apart.